on this episode of The Grannies.
Where do grandmothers stand on Mother's Day?
Mainly they sit because they're old.
I love that! Oh, you've got a great sense of humor. Does Mother's Day still mean anything to you?
It means something if I don't get cards or if I don't get calls, I would feel, oh, they don't love me. And then I would say, Jane, grow up. Many of us want to be the center of attention as we were when our children were small. Because what we are asked to do is grow up. Grow up, Mom. I've got a wife and we have a new life. We love you. She needs all my attention, most of it. She is going to be raising your grandchildren. What I want for Mother's Day is I want some gratitude.
From
all of them.
Welcome to The Grannies, everyone, a podcast where we honor the women whose stories have shaped generations. I'm your host, Adeshewa Josh, and I'm so excited to begin this journey of legacy, memory, and healing with one of the most extraordinary grandmothers I know.
I'm thrilled to be on this journey with Adeshewa as we create a space where older women, especially grandmothers, can speak openly about what they've lived, what they've learned, and how they hope to leave a wonderful legacy behind.
Well, we believe that sharing these stories can heal families, inspire communities, and remind us that aging is not decline, it's death. So we invite you to join us on this beautiful journey.
hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I couldn't be better. I'm always better when I see you. You know that.
Same. Hi, everybody.
We're so glad to see you.
Absolutely. My name is Adeshewa Josh. Welcome to the Grannies Podcast.
And I'm Jane. I say we welcome you.
Listen, we want to thank every single one of our listeners for supporting us. Without you, we are not able to keep doing this. Thank you for sending in emails. I mean, a few of you have started sending us emails about collaboration. We want more of that.
We want everything you think.
Just send it to us. Also, we would like to say thank you to all of our Apple Podcast listeners. Turns out that we have more listeners in Apple Podcasts than we have on Spotify. Hey, Spotify listeners, what's going on? Apple listeners are giving you a run for your money, but listen, I like the competition. It's great. Keep listening, keep sharing, and thank you so much for supporting us.
Yes.
So today we are exploring the topic motherhood.
Because in 10 days or 12 days, it's going to be Mother's Day.
Yes, and a few people wonder what that is all about, like Mother's Day. I think it's clear enough what Mother's Day is about, but when you look at it from the eyes of people like grandmothers, I wonder what's going on in their head when they think of Mother's Day, because Mother's Day is meant to celebrate love, sacrifice, and the women who raised us.
Yes.
We can't speak of mothers without grandmothers, can we?
Well, maybe not.
But as family grow and generations shift,
Yes.
the question quietly becomes, who is this day really about?
It's such a good question, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So I tell you one thing about what you're going to find on this platform is the question everybody wants to ask, but the question everybody wants to know the answer to, but nobody wants to ask them. And that is where I come in. I get to poke around and hopefully find a grandmother who would be open enough to talk about this tension in our families. Like, Granny Jane, where do grandmothers stand on Mother's Day?
Mainly they sit because they're old.
I love that. Oh, you've got a great sense of humor. I just love that for you. They don't stand, they sit. I'm like, okay. But does that literally mean that they sit and they take the back seat?
Well, they watch. One of the joys of being this old, and there are many, is that we get to observe a world we never expected to live in. if we're old. And one of the major things we can observe is our family and how they've changed, the different ways in which our children parent their children, the ways in which different generations express love differently. So we get to see all that. And if we expect that the grandchildren are going to treat us the way we treated our grandparents, or the way our children treated their grandparents and so on, we're going to be unhappy because things change. People have different ways of communicating. People are different. The world has changed, and you might have noticed the world has changed in the last 50 years.
It has, indeed. So on Mother's Day, you don't feel like it's your day. You feel like it's your daughter-in-law's day, do you?
I feel it's the family's day, but that's my perspective. Many of us want to be the center of attention, as we were when our children were small. Many of us think this is a ridiculous waste of time and we want to play golf. So there's a range of attitudes towards Mother's Day. The big question on that day and on every day is, do you love me? Are we connected? Is the connection sufficient so that you'll make a phone call, say, "Happy Mom, I love you," or you will gather the family in the car and come for dinner? I don't know. Everybody has different ways of doing this. To be ignored on Mother's Day, now that's not a happy thing.
Speak to me more about that. From a personal, give me an anecdote, if you can find one, and speak on a general note, because that's a very, very important emotion that you've just touched.
It is one of the, it's an identifying concept for all people. Because if you don't hear from somebody, you think they're ignoring you. I found this I run a webinar through the Rowe Center. For 5 years, I've heard from grandmas, they must not love me because they don't answer my texts. They love you, they're busy.
But do you think being busy is an excuse? Do you see that as being ignored? You don't see it as a sense of duty?
Yes. But those are two different things. So when a grandchild leaves you a note, "Happy Mother's Day, Grandma Henry," without any affect, without any real communication, you might think that they were forced to do it by their parents. And when a child is forced to do something by their parents, you might remember they not always do it in the most loving way. Hello? And so we're like junior detectives. Does she really mean Happy Mother's Day, Grandma? Or is she just doing it out of duty? And if, for instance, Mother's Day, we wake up early in the morning, we old people.
Yes, waiting for all the calls to come in.
If on Mother's Day or on your birthday, you haven't heard from anybody by 11 o'clock in the morning,
you're like, they don't love me.
But they don't love me. What's the matter? Do I matter to them? And then finally at 4 o'clock, the phone rings or the text comes through or they arrive. Who knows? So we're sitting there not confident of the love that they carry. And I found this in all of my work. If the children and the grandchildren don't respond in ways that we expect, we think they don't love us. Another example is thank you notes for presents. I've heard so many grandmas say, "I'm never giving them another present because they didn't write me a note." Well, in this culture, they're not writing notes. So maybe you have to say, "Honey, did you get my present?" And then they might say, "Oh, Grandma, I love it." Well, that goes against everything we were taught. And each one of these, every expression of attention is fraught. If you have an informal and loving enough relationship with your kids, then you may not feel so alone and isolated. But if you never know what's happening, first of all, you never know what's happening in a home that is not your own home. Hardly know what's going on in your own home, but certainly not your kids, and certainly not your grandchildren. You don't know what's happening. It's a Sunday. Did they have a bad basketball game where they lost the tournament on Friday? They may not want to get out of bed.
Right.
Much less. So if the expectation that we're going to be loved and celebrated exactly the way we want to be, which may not be the way we were.
Right.
I drop a pause. I don't like I hate birthdays, my own, because when I was a little girl, I was always disappointed they paid more attention to other members of the family, and I always felt my birthday was an afterthought, except for my 8th birthday, where they gave me a party and they celebrated me. But other than that, it was like another day. So I dread my birthday because I expect to be disappointed. If you expect to be disappointed, you'll be disappointed, no matter what they do.
Absolutely.
So a lot of this has to do with our own view of the world. You want to have a good day. I wake up in the morning, I have a beautiful view out my bedroom window. I look out the window and I say, you want to have a good day? Be positive. Jane, you want to have a bad day? Be negative. Now, how can I turn my mood to positive? Well, the easiest way for me to do it is to pick up my phone and look at pictures of the grandchildren, because I love them so much. And I'm old enough now so that they are growing up. And the pictures of them as little ones break my heart because I'm never going to see that sweet, pudgy cheek again.
Yes, yes.
But the whole question of how much do they love me? How much do they respect me? Am I important in their lives? As grandparents, we ask ourselves that question morning, noon, and night.
And why do you think that is? Your life is so built around the kids.
Well, that's partly, I think it's genetic. I think families. Also, I think in this period where there's so much trouble and so much tumult.
Trumble.
Yes, family becomes more important because that's where you're supposed to be able to rely. And they are, and I'm making this more dramatic for the purposes of the podcast, but these kinds of feelings flow through us on a daily basis. And then there's the question, so let's say it's 2 o'clock and you've heard from most of the people, well, they're away at a tournament and this one and that one, but you feel a sufficient amount of attention. Then you have a job of giving attention to your daughters-in-law because the whole health and the happiness of the family depends on them, not on us.
Oh my God, that's a topic on its own.
Well, it is,
In-laws.
and we'll do that one day.
Do that one day, in-laws.
And how the children are raised. I mean, to this day, we've passed the first quarter of the 21st century, and women are still bearing the weight of the family. I teach English as a second language in a program in downtown, and I have a new student who came this week. Today's Saturday, it was Thursday. She's from Mongolia.
Oh no, that's very far away.
And 3 children, her husband is working very hard. She's working. Her English is not good enough for her really to be able to, 2 years in America. It's a very hard life for her. So I said, well, what's your day like? She gets the children up, she gets them dressed, they take the subway Each of them has an hour ride on the subway to school. What do you do on the subway? Well, she said, it's a little nerve-wracking, but I make lists of shopping, doing errands and all, doctor's appointments. She is carrying, he's at his office, thank you very much. We love you very much. She's carrying the burden, as women always have from the beginning of civilization, from the beginning of human. We have the babies, we feed them, we clean them, and we are totally taxed. And
That's the word I'm looking for.
What?
Totally taxed.
yes. So for me to take my daughters-in-law for granted, knowing what they are doing and how hard it is for them, even though one of my sons cooks dinner, which is great, and he shops, he does all of that, but they still bear the burden.
And if anybody is asking why Mother's Day, that's the answer. Yeah, because from the beginning of civilization,
Absolutely.
women have always carried that burden.
The burden.
But to be recognized for it, some women these days are asking to be paid for it.
Yes.
Okay? They be paid for it handsomely. Not that the payment should be because you're my wife. It's not enough.
Well, yes, and this first conversation with a woman from Mongolia had a lot to do with these issues. And she was feeling bad. She said, but why am I so tired?
All the time.
I said, she commutes 2 to 3 hours a day on the subways with those kids, plus everything else. So the burden of child rearing and of the family, the big burden falls on the women during the period of childbearing.
I want to be the devil's advocate here.
Please.
Men would say that, oh, that's why we don't live long, because we actually carry such big burden that probably doesn't have to do with the kind of chores you have to do, but it's making money for the family and making sure there's food on the table, and that's enough big burden, so big that we die along the way and you guys outlive us.
Yes, and this week, yes, sir, this week I had lunch with one of the great psychologists, developmental psychologists of the 20th century, Howard Gardner. We had worked, I published a couple of his books 40 years ago, and we hadn't seen each other for a long time, so we were catching up. He's 81, I'm 86. He said to me at some point, Jane, how come men fall apart after they retire so much more seriously than women? This is 81-year-old great psychologist from Harvard. I said, well, because we've built the muscles.
I was just about to say that. Through adversity.
Diversity, we have the socializing muscles, we have all of those things. So
And through adversity also.
adversity is one of the great promoters of growth sometimes. Not
Just
always.
the right kind of adversity, not the one that would kill you.
It happens to be the adversity you think you have overcome, whatever that may be.
Right. That's interesting. That's why it's not because the women are not doing more or as much as they should.
We are doing more.
Yeah.
So my theory, which I gave Howard Gardner, is that at the beginning of civilization,
Right.
just as the human species was moving from being wanderers to settling down in agriculture, I pictured a cave,
Right.
and the women in the big cave, and there's just a little bit of wheat and some fruit trees outside, just outside. They're just beginning to grow things. So the women are outside and inside. They're having the babies, caring for the babies, cooking the food. I think they may be painting the caves, but never mind. And what the men are doing is they're hunting the eland. And they go running. I mean, they have one job, get meat. Thank you very much. So
Right.
my theory is at some day they were coming back with the eland. They had tied it to a piece of wood, and one of the men says to another one, cavemen, Have you noticed the women do everything? That's the beginning of patriarchy. We'll see if we can control them.
Wow, I like that story.
But that is extreme, you know.
Yeah.
I'm extreme. But the notion that it is impossible for me to think of the majority of households and homes inhabited by humans where most of the work is not done by most of the work is done by the women. Period.
Absolutely.
And from work you build strength.
Yes.
So we live longer, and we also, when it comes to the children, we don't want to take all the credit because we don't want the men to feel that they're not appreciated.
Right.
And wonderful fathers are so important.
Absolutely.
So that Father's Day and Mother's Day, they're different.
Yeah.
But what I want for Mother's Day is I want some gratitude.
From?
All of them.
Okay, that brings me to the question. What was your best Mother's Day till date? And what did it entail?
You know, it wasn't a Mother's Day. I had a day of appreciation once. It was a surprise 80th birthday party, which my kids gave me 2 months before my birthday, so I wouldn't think we were going to this place for me. And they had invited my friends and family from all over the country and so on, and given them the opportunity to say a word or something about their experience of me. That was something and very special. The kids were in school. But for me, a good Mother's Day is spending some good time with the people I love. And I can't tell you the best. I think maybe this coming Mother's Day, where I will be in the Midwest celebrating the college graduation of my first grandchild, that may be the best
Okay.
But I'm hoping that the best one is yet to come.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the shift that we started with, which is the shift from, mothers, and then the moment you became a grandmother, you actually alluded to that at the beginning of the conversation of the generational shift that comes. It no longer really becomes about you. It's about whoever the new kid on the block is is in your case you had 2 boys, so the new
I have
kid
2 daughters-in-law.
Exactly, the new kid on the block, the new moms on the block. Did you at what time did you realize this was no longer about me, and how did you support that transition if you did?
So that happened before my kids had children.
Oh yeah, when they started dating seriously.
No, when they chose their wife, when they said, "Mom, here, I'd like you to meet Mom," and then I had to orient myself to focus on his choice, and I found that the best way to do that was to get to know her individually, not in the family. Take her to lunch, talk to her, find out who she really is. She's nervous about meeting me, and I'm scared out of my mind.
If she would like you, or if you would like her.
Exactly. And our job as mothers and future grandmothers is to make as best a connection possible. Because you're not going to ask your son to choose between the love of his life and his mother. And they have, in my situation, they're very lucky men. They have brilliant choices. And the women, both of whom are career women, have raised the best children you ever saw, much better than I did.
Oh, that's a great compliment. I hope they see this.
Yes, they know it because they hear it all the time.
And
watching somebody, the next generation, raise your grandchildren with love and patience. That's the best Mother's Day present you could ever get.
When you were coming to terms with the fact that you were no longer the center of Mother's Day,
Yeah.
you know, like they would remember you, but the first person who gets celebrated now
Is the mother.
is the mother.
Yes.
Because the new species, aka the grandkids in the family, are coming, and the first point of contact is the mother, not the grandmother. Was it a struggle to make that shift? How did you feel? How did you switch all at once? Did it take you time? What did you tell yourself? Because God bless Sarah, some mothers out there are still struggling, wanting to be the center of attention, even though they would never admit it. I want you to talk
Absolutely.
sincerely about that with us.
Absolutely. And I think it's a totally universal human desire to be the center of attention, especially in your family, especially if you're the mother. And to relinquish that tie, that need, is one of the great growing processes of human life. I have a whole, there are a whole lot of things, a whole lot of strategies, because what we are asked to do is grow up. Grow up, Mom. I've got a wife and we have a new life. We love you. She needs all my attention, most of it. She is going to be raising your grandchildren.
So grow up. Oh my God.
Grow up. What I've learned over the good news is, and as I said, I've been doing this webinar with grannies for 5.5 years, is everybody keeps growing. If you're alive, you keep growing. And you go through adversity, good times and not so good times, and the sun comes up and you're growing.
I'm about to touch a very touchy, delicate part of this conversation.
Yeah.
You know, women tend to lean a lot into their children, especially women who have lost their partners.
Yeah,
Their children become more centered.
absolutely.
Can you talk to us about that? Did you feel, I'm not sure at what point you lost your partner. At what point did they even become more centered and you had to lean into them? I mean, because hearing about growing up might be a little bit difficult for you to process, knowing that all of a sudden that's the kids are all you have.
Well, I think that it's a natural, talking about widows.
Yeah, that's my mom is one. So
What?
My
Yeah.
mother is a widow, and she leaned so much into us. We were kids. I didn't know how to carry it. It was very difficult for me
Because?
because I didn't know I want to be carried too. It was too early.
Wow.
I want to be carried. I thought I had earned. It was difficult.
In what way carried?
So Dad had died.
How old were you?
I was 16 or 17, and this was about 22 years ago or 20-something years ago. And, you know, so Mom is devastated. She's mourning. She's leaning heavily into the kids for the comfort, the consolation. Not a lot from her family. Definitely not from her husband's family. So it was just us, you know, and we were all huddled around each other. And I didn't know how to process I don't think I ever processed my emotions at that time because I had to be strong for my mother.
And so you were in some sense mothering your mother.
Yes.
That is not uncommon, and it takes a big toll.
Yes, it does. And I didn't have time to process at all my dad's death. And I said, I think this is how I processed it. I said to myself, you're going to cry about this for the rest of your life. Don't cry everything all at once. You can. Right now, your mother needs you. Or shall I say we need each other because someone's still going to provide, but we're going to eat.
Yeah.
It is going to be you. There's your job. Or whatever, we can support. So it was a very messed up time in my life that I didn't have time
To process.
I just had to keep moving.
Put on your big girl pants and do it.
So when you switch it back to, you know,
My experience.
Yes, you become a widow, you lean. I think once you become a widow, you tend to lean into the kids. Some people are lucky they have very supportive friends. Some people are lucky they have supportive families. Some people are lucky the family of their beloved husband is there for them.
Yes.
In my case, my mother, we were her family, which is not always a good idea. I learned a lot from that.
It's a burden.
It's a burden. You have to build. One of the things I am trying to do as an adult, I look at my parents and I mark down the things I never want to repeat. And make it, yes.
That could be a list.
Yes, and make a conscious effort to
Yes.
transcend it.
Yes.
And I say, oh, this part, I never enjoyed it because of the toll it took on me. Is it friendship? I'm going to work on friendship. My choice of partner, in a way, I have to be comfortable with the family. And so, because you never know who's going to show up for you later in life, but you could sow those seeds. I'm not sure what went wrong where, but it just turned out that it was just we and mom and us and that was, it was insane. So I understand when widows turn to the kids as support, they become suddenly they want, but can't you see me? I am going through this.
Absolutely. That also depends on the age of the kids.
It does.
So, if your children, as mine were in their 40s, it was a wholly different experience than a child who's in their teens.
Yes.
In the question of grown children, how do we deal with when dad or mom's husband, depending on, dies? How do we take care of mom? It's very tricky because they're not, if they're grown and they have their own children, which is my circumstance and what I'm talking about here, I know that they're busy. They're just as busy the day after we buried him as they were the week before. And here are a couple of tips.
Okay.
A couple of things.
Yeah.
First of all, it's useful, and I've never really mastered this. It's useful if you can feel comfortable asking your children for help. That's another subject for another podcast, because so many of us feel that being independent and not relying on them is part of being the person we want to be, that it's hard.
That's a Western culture.
This is part of why we're here.
In my culture, it's the exact opposite.
Tell me.
In fact, our parents look forward to asking their kids for help. And it doesn't matter whether they're rich or poor. It is an honor to live to old age. They show it off to their friends when their kids come home.
This is what my children did for me.
Exactly. That's what they're going to put in front of the house. And it differs. The levels differ from, it takes a different dynamic with if you're middle income and poor. The burden is more on the kids.
Sure.
But the general expectation across the classes, social classes, is that at some point, your kids, you're going to ask them for help. And whether it is help shopping, or it is help buying a new car, or it is help paying the rent, or it's getting the food. And the kids also know that they're going to ask you for help. At some point in whether you're going to take care of the grandkids, or the first 3 months of when their wives give birth, or if it is your daughter, you will come and wipe the baby's butt. It's
bet.
an unwritten rule. So everyone is working hard across the board to fulfill what I would say is their mandate. If you do not do it, you're an outcast. The entire society must not hear that you did not take care of your parents. There are cases where it then gets too burdensome.
Yes.
Where, some parents haven't done their great bit, just like, you borrow money from the bank.
Yeah.
And so people just don't pay back, and other people have to pay back that, whether the government buys out the bank
Yes.
or something. So, parents who actually didn't contribute their part, but they still come and feel entitled to your success or to your name, or because that's just the way it is. Upsets me a great deal, because now I have traveled the world. I have worked in different places. I have seen other cultures and the importance they attach to this phenomenon that we're talking about, which is the exact opposite of mine. So sometimes I indulge in their culture. Sometimes when my mom and I are having this conversation, I'm like, Mom, and she's like, what? Say what? I don't even have the confidence to say it.
Yes.
Because, you just get guilt tripped out of it. I see the sense in that. I see the honor in it. The question for me is, as I grow older, with all of the lives I've lived across different cultures, how do I want my old age in terms of what we're discussing to turn out? I want a level of independence.
See, that's
I want a
the piece.
balance. But I also want my kids to do it for me even without asking.
This is a very...
But I won't be ashamed to ask. Does Mother's Day still mean anything to you?
It means something if I don't get cards, or if I don't get calls, I would feel, oh, they don't love me. And then I would say, Jane, grow up.
Do you think your children understand
Yes.
what it means to you now?
They understand that they have some kind of obligation to remember Mother's Day and to remember me on Mother's Day. It depends on, and so long as if they make their children write me Mother's Day cards, I know they're sitting down, write grandma, but I get it. That is sufficient. Because what they've
better than
done is
nothing.
they said, we have to show her our love.
Show. I think that's the active word there.
Yes.
Show.
And that's about it. So, but I am not,
Invincible.
I'm not an object person, as you know. Mm-hmm. I don't need the presents that my kids give me on Mother's Day or birthday are pictures of themselves. Objects are not of interest. So I can't tell you what I need is the expression of love. And it would be nice if we ate together if it's possible.
Speaking of how we show love, the way Jen, what am I again? I don't even know what Jen I am. I'm a millennial. Okay.
Yeah.
Social media has become part of our lives.
Oh, yes.
In how we show love, we show presence. And most of it is fake, some of it is real. People post their mothers online. I stopped posting my family because of the nature of what I do. For the longest time, as a journalist and the kind of stories I told, I don't want anyone looking for my family or blackmailing them or
And
not.
both my kids have asked me not to post any pictures.
Exactly.
And I fully agree.
So maybe that this next question isn't really personally for you, but I want you to just wade in. So people post online, and I think I've heard a few people say the love they're shown in person is not directly proportional to the show off some people do online. So, you are still tech savvy and all, you still go online and you see all those things. Some people see other people's mom and everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna post my mom too. I have no problems with posting your family or posting your mom. I'm just looking at the underlying feeling there, the disconnect some grandparents and parents kind of feel towards the real love being shown and the idea of the love being broadcast to the world.
Well, this is the world we live in. Before we had the internet, you couldn't do this.
You would actually do the real thing, no?
What?
You would actually do the real thing.
Yes, and this is a time where the culture is in transition. When I first started using Facebook, people were taking pictures of their meals, the plates. Then they stopped doing that because I guess there was enough pasta online. And then, I mean, people are using these new media in ways that make them happy. If they have anything to do with reality, that would be very interesting. You can't tell if something is AI. You can't tell if a picture is made up. And that's another world. The real world. Oh, also bragging. Everybody wants to brag in something you're proud of. I've just told you the story of my son. Do me the honor of helping you. That's a brag as well as a story. We all want we want approval. When I was a girl, we went to live in New York. We went to the theater, and my parents mainly had tickets for the first night, the opening night of the theater. And my mother was always late. So we would be rushing down the aisle before the lights often had already gone down, but the curtain hadn't gone up.
Right.
So I would put my glasses on so that if there was a minute, I could read the playbill. My mother would say, "Jane, take off your glasses. You don't look so pretty with glasses." Going down the aisle to see theater.
Did she know the kind of impact those kind of comments made on you?
No, she was doing the best she could for me. She thought it was more important for me to look pretty than to read the playbill. And also that generation of immigrant to New York, women put a great deal of emphasis on the looks, on their own looks and on the looks of their children. So that was a value. And I have friends whose granddaughters pose on Facebook barely clothed, because that's a trend with teenagers.
No.
And she says to me, "What's going to happen to her? It's so dangerous." So every generation has its turn away from the way they did it in the previous generation.
Do you mind me ask how you celebrated your mom on Mother's Day, knowing that the relationship between you was tough love?
Well, she needed all the love she could get.
What do you mean?
Well, she'd suffered a lot as a child, and she needed a lot of love, and she was an amazing person and deserved all the love that she got. So we'd have dinner. A happy Mother's Day, Mom. My father also, they met when he was 14 and she was 10, and he fell in love with her then, and they were married 55 years. It was another decade before they got married. They knew each other from childhood, and he loved her so much. And when she died, they were married 55 years. And he would say to me, people say, "Well, you had Rosie for 55 years. And he said to me, "Why not 56?
It was a good marriage.
It was a wonderful marriage. And he brought her breakfast in bed every morning. When she was doing things, giving lectures and so on, he held her purse. You know the husband who holds the purse? And he was so proud of her.
And that is not a thing you do in that generation, no?
He did it. And and she loved him, and they loved each other very much. And so to celebrate my mother was so common, because she was, she had gone from poverty to
prominence.
Prominence. Poverty to prominence. And she did a lot of good in this world. And there were people whose lives she changed for the better by the dozens. I tried not to make her mistakes.
Yes,
And
I'm going to try
they
to
tried not to make
mother's
my mistakes. And it's all like that. But, and I am very grateful to her for creating the life that made mine possible. So it's a long story. But my job as a parent and grandma, as a mother and grandma, is to create a legacy of character and of love. If my children and my grandchildren have good characters and are dedicated to the values that I hope I have taught them, every generation there's a different style of being a mom, being a grandma. We know that. Particularly in a culture, our culture, which is changing so fast. It might have taken 30 years in the early 20th century for things to change. Now it takes 30 minutes.
Right.
You want the world better before the next commercial break. and really, things have speeded up.
Yeah.
So how do you honor the good part and change the parts that you didn't love? And everybody does that. As a matter of fact, I know people whose children have said to them, Mom, why didn't you do this when I was growing up? Or why didn't you do that? Which is a way of their trying to come to terms with their own parents. And the best answer I can think of is to give a reason and then to say, I love you, I did the best I could. Because that's all the judgment is, what is the best you can do? And in the case of my mother, she had suffered terribly as a child, and she had been orphaned, and blah, 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 blah. She did the best she could. And I wouldn't be sitting here if she hadn't worked so hard. And I wouldn't be as close to my family, my cousins, if it weren't for the fact that she kept her sisters so close to her. So thank you, Rosie. No problem.
No hard feelings, no nothing.
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, I love that. Is there anything you wish your kids knew that you never said to them? Like you thought it was just a topic for another century?
No.
Okay.
And if you believe that, we'll talk about Santa Claus. But let me answer that in a different way. There are times when I have told my children about difficulties that I lived through in order to help them know me better, in order to make them love me more, and in order for them to know that we overcome. And they, of course, they're always curious. But recently, my son said to me, "Mom, are you afraid of dying?" At dinner at the delicatessen. And I said, "No." And he was so surprised. And I said, "Well, my father and I talked a lot about that when he was turning 80. And the night I went to see him every night when he was in the hospital, and one night we talked for 3 hours, and I said to my husband when I got home, he was in such great shape. If he were to die tonight and the phone rang, he had died. So the idea, how we approach it's not about dying, it's about legacy. That's what I want to say to finish this up. Legacy. What do we leave in this world? Have we made it better? Have we helped people? Have we loved, given as much love as we're capable of giving? If we have elements in our family that are carrying on the traditions of values and love, I think that's a great legacy. I have paintings. I wonder which kid is going to want paint. I don't think they're going to want anything. And they're certainly not going to want my china because they don't care about that anymore. The generations have changed.
I wonder what we care about now. Porcelain? What's the difference?
I think they think about money.
Oh, yeah. Because it gives us choices.
But the porcelain, the silver, it's not their values. So the question is, what values do we stand for? And how can we love them into agreeing some with our values. You can't say, be like me, because they'll run away. They'll go in the other direction. And they're right.
As we wrap this up,
Yes.
I would say, should we have Grandmother's Day?
Yes. Actually, we do. We have Grandparents' Day. It's some Sunday.
But that's a church thing, not a national.
Well, yes.
Or a synagogue thing, no?
What's a church thing? I don't
Civic.
know if the
Who does
synagogues do it. But many of the holidays that are now secular holidays started in a religious setting. But yes, and I just think it's so sweet that they try to get us to buy presents for every generation in every generation. Birthday, Mother's Day, Grandma's Day, Christmas, Hanukkah. What are you bringing for Thanksgiving? I mean, all that, yes. And the answer is love.
Right.
And respect.
A question just popped in my head.
Yes,
Do you miss being a mother?
terribly. I don't miss,
You don't miss changing the Pampers.
no, but it's not that. I don't miss a whole lot of it. What I miss is the children small. I was looking at I have all these photographs in my study, and I was doing yoga, and I was looking at the pictures, and here were the photographs of those grandchildren now who are now heading to college or graduating. And those sweet faces, the cheeks, little kids have cheeks. And I thought, they don't have that anymore. They've outgrown it. That I miss. I miss holding the baby and getting her to stop crying. On the other hand, I have all these amazing memories, and I have growing grandchildren, and I am alive. And here's the graduate. I'm going to a graduation on Mother's Day weekend, and I never thought I would live to see one of my grandchildren graduate from college. I had seen a group of families walking down Broadway from a Columbia University graduation a decade ago, and I started to cry because I thought I would never see anybody graduate from college, and a week from now I'll be there.
Let me give you a hug. Isn't that wonderful? Congratulations.
Thank you. That's a Mother's Day in history.
That's wonderful. Well, so complete the sentence for me. Being a mother never ends
Because love never ends.
You continue to give it for as long as you live.
What?
You continue to give it for as long as you live.
That's right. That's right. And every time one of my grandchildren gets behind the wheel of a car, I worry. I bet you do too.
Oh, we have to talk about worry as a form
Worry.
of...
Oh, morning, noon, and night.
Oh, God. The things you guys worry about. Well, so motherhood doesn't expire. I know you
never
miss it,
expires.
but you would be a mother in another form. I mean, do you still feel like a mom right now?
My legacy as a mother, I hope will go on for generations. I hope that the way in which I have loved my children and they have loved their children and I have loved all generations, I hope that continues.
So it doesn't expire, it just evolves, right? Motherhood.
It evolves. And I'm 86. Sometimes I think about the love in my family when I was a child, and it warms me just the way it was meant to warm me when I was 3.
That's wonderful. And so maybe Mother's Day isn't just about people actively raising children. It is about all of the women.
Absolutely.
Who may-
And women who do not have biological children. That's a conversation also.
Exactly, for another
They get
day.
the kind of love and respect. We're going to make sure
Yeah.
that the love and respect
Yeah.
is clear.
Exactly. So Mother's Day, I think, is
Yeah.
not just about women raising children actively that came from their bodies, but it's also about all those women who have made motherhood possible. in one shape or form or the other. And we are so grateful for you on this day. I absolutely am grateful for
Thank
my
you.
mother, who, against all the odds you can ever think of in the global South, she's raised an incredible woman like me. And I
That's
have
right.
taken what she gave me and I'm like, I will make it bigger. And I'm grateful to you for all the sacrifices. I'm grateful to all the women who poured into me, including Granny Jane, who continues to pour into me, and my sisters, my cousins, all of you, all the women in my life. Thank you and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. And I agree. And what my mother gave me, in addition to her sisters, who I adored, she had a couple of women friends who never married, and they were my angels.
Amazing.
They had time and energy to love me and to grow me in ways. And so I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being such a wonderful grove of trees that helped me become who I am.
Oh, wow. And on that note, we would like to say thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for the honor of your presence and your attention. We will see you next time. Do not forget to send your comments, your whatever you want to say to us to thegrannies.podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.